Welcome to Pick a Card, Any Card.
Where we pick a card
Any card.
and mulligan to, let's say, 3 this time.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Devin.
Today's cards are Sundial of the Infinite
And Emrakul, the Promised End.
We like infinite things here. So this card is just infinite, all by itself. It's not actually.
It's not infinite at all.
It has nothing to do with
It
infinity.
is very final, actually.
Its name is actually quite the misnomer.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite of what it does.
Sundial of the Infinite is a 2-mana artifact from M12 that costs 2 generic. You look at it and you think, this is just a generic looking sundial. It's kind of cool. It's got some weird little mist around it.
Regular old garden variety sundial. Nothing's fancy here.
And then you look closely and you realize, wait a minute, that's not mist. Those are clouds. Wait a minute. Those aren't just weird little flecks. Those are people standing on the face of this sundial. That sundial is on top of a mountain. Holy crap, it's gigantic.
This is not a sundial. This is a solarium.
It's huge. And I think it would have to be to have the ability that it does.
When I first saw it, I actually thought it was in a glass, it was just like a glass sphere, and inside it was the sundial.
I first looked at this and I'm like, oh, it's just a sundial chilling in this little, I don't know, I thought it might have been just decorative space or something around it. I thought maybe mist and some grass. I was clearly very mistaken.
Yep, those are clouds. This is a mountain. I do like how you described it to me earlier, where there was little people on it.
Yes.
And now every time I look at it, I'm like, no, this isn't on top of a mountain. It's just normal. It's a little small one with itty bitty tiny people on it.
Little people. So, Sundial of the Infinite's ability is pay 1 and tap it, end the turn. Activate this ability only during your turn. Now, I've mentioned this card before during our Chronotog episode. That whole wasting time thing I'm a fan of.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you hate Magic? Because this is the second time you've talked about just not taking your own turns. Do you just hate playing Magic?
No, I just like playing on my opponent's turn. Why would you want to play during your own turn?
That speaks to me. I can understand that, but I still like having mine. I don't like just shooing it away.
Why take
Though it is a nice resource to sell. I mean, if you're not going to use it, screw it.
Right. Why take your own turn when you can just... Why do nothing on your own turn when you can do everything on your opponent's turn?
That is why Phyrexian mana is so popular, especially in aggro decks. Just I'm not going to use my life total. Why should I care?
Right.
Dump myself down to 1 to kill you sooner.
I'm not going to use my turn. Now, what's nice about Sundial of the Infinite is you can only activate it during your turn, but you can do it at any point during your turn.
Yep, instant speed.
So, I'm going to drop a land and end my turn. Now, just ending your turn, you think, oh, you could do that at any point in time. Well, no, actually you can't. When you end your turn, you actually do have to move through all the rest of the phases of the game, giving your opponent the chance to respond to things. With Sundial of the Infinite, you don't.
Yep.
Your turn is over.
It just ends. It actually has that in the reminder text that when you end your turn, it says exile all spells and abilities on the stack. Discard down to your maximum hand size, damage wears off, and this turn and until of turn effects end.
So what that means is you effectively have a 1-mana counter spell that counters anything your opponent tries to do on your turn.
Well, they would have to do it in response to you use the Infinite.
No, they don't. If they cast a spell, you can Sundial of the Infinite in response, and their spell is exiled.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't go to the graveyard.
They would just wait until you use Sundial, assuming you use it.
Right, I could not use it.
Yeah, but then you would lose out on all those other things that you're going to skip.
That's why it's 2 mana. You drop several of them, and then you've got them stacked up.
I'm going to end my turn 3 times this turn.
Which, because of the way it works, whichever one goes off last exiles the others. So, if your opponent casts a spell that can't be countered on your turn, exiled. Doesn't go to the graveyard. Yeah. The whole card goes to exile.
The card is technically not countered.
Right. It's just exiled.
The spell is just exiled.
Which we talked about a little bit last week with
Spell Queller and Summary Dismissal.
Yep.
Because they're doing a lot of just spell shenanigans, which I'm liking because all the things that they mentioned are specifically
They're specifically stack related.
Yeah, they're specifically stack related, but they're also specifically spirit related.
Yeah.
So like, there's a reason, and not just like, we're just fiddling up with cards and making the rules different now. It's like, no, only spirits do this. So like, that's fair.
Frankly, I think this would fit incredibly well in a deck with Spell Queller.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's
like, I kill Spell Queller, so I get my thing back. Well, in response to you casting your thing again, or better yet, in response to you attempting to kill Spell Queller,
right,
I just end the turn.
Which means Spell Queller gets exiled.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, this actually, Sundial of the Infinite would work in this well with Spell Queller. What I like to do with Sundial of the Infinite is, anytime a trigger happens at the end of your next turn, you wait for that trigger to go on the stack, you end your turn, that trigger gets exiled, you no longer have to worry about it. So things like any of the packs. Pact of Negation. 0 mana, counter target spell. At the beginning of your next upkeep, pay 3 generic and 2 blue. If you don't, you lose the game. I don't have 3 generic and 2 blue. I just put this in a mono red deck. That's okay. Yeah. I don't have to pay it.
Just because you're running blue doesn't mean it's not mono red deck.
Right. It's mono.
Like, yep, you just, in response to those upkeep triggers, you just end your turn. I don't care.
Yeah. I'm playing red. I can cast everything on your turn.
Ironically, you said it works for any of the packs. And by the packs, you meant pack cycle. Like, there's Pact of Negation, Intervention Pact, all the ones that cost 0 that you have to pay for at the beginning of your next upkeep.
Right.
Ironically, this also works for Demonic Pact, which is not part of that pact cycle, but is still technically a pact, and also works with Sundial of the Infinite very well.
It really does.
So, Demonic Pact, I'm going to explain because this is one of my favorite cards.
Hey, I think it's a great card.
It is really, really good. It's 3/4 of it is really, really good. The last quarter of it is questionable.
The last quarter of it is ignorable.
I could see you liking it.
I love
it.
Due
to the fact that you seem to hate magic.
I don't hate magic. I just hate anything that's fun.
Okay.
I don't believe in fun.
I can see that. I had fun once. It was awful. Anyway, Demonic Pact is a 4-mana enchantment. It's 2 and 2 black, so you can't run this in that mono red deck.
No.
But it's an enchantment. It says, at the beginning of your upkeep, choose one of the following options that hasn't been chosen. The first one is Demonic Pact deals 4 damage to target creature player. You gain 4 life. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Draw 2 cards. And the last option is you lose the game.
This is my favorite one.
Yeah. So about that, what happens is like, well, I have 4 options to choose at the beginning of my upkeep.
I pick lose the game.
Like, no, you don't, because then you'll lose the game. I mean, if you have Sundial of the Infinite up and you don't have any plans to do anything on that turn anyway, lose the game. I don't care. Like, and so what you do is you go to lose the game. Wait.
The ability triggers.
You would choose it, and you would choose it when it triggers, right?
Oh, crap. Do you choose it on your trigger or upon resolution?
I think you choose it when it triggers.
You choose the mode as the triggered ability goes on the stack.
Yep. So you choose it when it goes onto the stack. In response to it, you activate Sundial of the Infinite, ending the turn.
In the response to losing the game, I don't.
In response to losing the game, I end my turn. But that's not how shut up. I don't care what you say.
I can end my turn as an instant speed. Oh yeah, you can actually do that.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right here. Look at these rulings. Do you see that bottom one? The bottom ruling is, quote, yes, if the 4th mode is the only one remaining, you must choose it. You read the whole contract, right? That's an official MTG ruling.
I love rulings like this.
Yeah,
like Void Winnower.
Yeah, it's like, yes, we know.
Your opponent can't even.
We know.
But yeah, Demonic Pact works great with this because you don't have to worry about losing the game.
So many good abilities. And it's not legendary, so I guess it didn't matter if it was legendary. Playing more Demonic Pact.
And they all trigger... Okay, so you have out 4 Demonic Pacts for whatever unholy reason.
Yep.
And they all trigger. You pick you lose the game choice for all 4 of them, and then for 1 mana, you ignore them all. And then you don't have to worry about them ever again.
Yep. So I like it. And
that's fun times.
And you could run this in like red-black, and red-black is really good. Really good at just destruction control.
Yeah.
So you just be like, destroy that. I don't like that. Destroy that. I don't like that. And like this card just adds to that. It gains you
it gains you life, which is
this sounds like a deck I want to build.
Yeah.
Oh, like,
that is what this podcast is about.
That is true.
You tell me I don't like playing Magic. That's not true. I just like playing more interesting forms of Magic than other people
Okay,
like
I
to
play a lot of interesting forms of Magic. And you've heard of my decks.
And I like to skip my turn as often as possible. There's no wrong way to play Magic.
You play Magic by not playing Magic.
Right.
Okay. But another card that my friend... I've actually had this happen to me. My friend Stuart did this to me.
Oh, really?
Yes. I conceded because it was a multiplayer, it was EDH, everyone else was like full swing, and it's like, I'm not starting the game over. Like, I have nothing in my hand. Like,
right.
Let's be real here. I'm gonna sit here and twiddle my thumbs. I'd rather get up and make dinner. And
so
they're like, yeah, that's fair. Like, I don't usually just concede when something bad happens to me, but this was bad. This was real bad. So the card I'm talking about is called Sudden Disappearance. It is a rare sorcery from Innistrad. Actually, Dark Ascension. And what it says is, for 6 mana, 5 colorless and a white, exile all non-land permanents target player controls, return the exiled card to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step.
Now this sets up a delayed trigger.
Yep.
That triggers at your end step.
Yep. So what he did is, like, I Sudden Disappearance all your crap. He's like, okay. Like, I swing for like 10. I'm like, okay. Like, that was a lot of mana. Why are you running Sudden Disappearance? Like, I go to end step. Okay, I get my crap back. No. In response, I end the turn, exiling that ability. What? You lose everything.
It's all gone.
What? Like, oh no.
That's so gross. That is so gross.
And it's like, I couldn't win at that point.
And you know what? I love it.
Like normally that card is bad. Like, Sudden Disappearance is...
No, I mean, it's 6 mana for a sorcery that...
That's
6 mana.
It would be worth it. Worth the 6 mana if it was in...
But then you would still do it on your own turn because Sundial of the Infinite.
Yep. Or what you do is you do it at the end of your opponent's turn. You would miss the end of turn ability.
That's true.
So, like, at the end of your turn, pass Brighter, okay. Sudden Disappearance. Give her all your crap. Okay, my turn. Untap my stuff, do stuff, end my turn. Then you get your stuff. So you'd have all your mana untap.
And you would have a mana open for Sundial of the Infinite.
Yep.
To just... No, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work. Another one that I enjoy working with, sort of in the same vein with exiling stuff, Whip of Erebos. This is just a really useful card.
Oh yeah, Whip of Erebos. I think this is like the 3rd week in a row we've mentioned Whip of Erebos.
It's so useful. So, 2 generic and 2 black for a legendary artifact enchantment. Creatures you control have lifelink. Nobody cares. You pay 2 generic and 2 black and tap Whip of Erebos. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. If it would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. The only part of this that matters is the delayed trigger for exile that creature at the beginning of the next end step.
Yep.
You can wait for that trigger, Sundial of the Infinite, Whip of Erebos, trigger gets exiled, your creature sticks around. Now, if at any point in time that creature would die, the replacement effect is still on that creature, so it would still get exiled if it were to die any other way.
Mm-hmm.
But you get to keep it until it dies from natural causes.
Yep. It is really good. Natural causes, heart attacks
and murder.
Murder works too. Gets into a bad bar fight. Anyway, fun fact about Whip of Erebos. There's one other card that I can think of that gets around Whip of Erebos is Ghost Council Obsidian.
Yes.
Because it would exile itself and then comes back from exile.
Right.
So if you bring it back from the graveyard with Whip of Erebos, at the end of the turn it would exile itself.
There are also cards that you can cast from exile. There's at least
true. There's a Sphinx. It is a Sphinx, and there's another creature.
There are 2 creatures that can be cast from exile.
Yeah.
So, continuing in the vein of cards we talked about when we talked about Chronotog.
Yep.
Final Fortune. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yep.
Not gonna say a lot
Take
about
another
it.
turn.
Moving it on.
End the turn. Screw that ability. But yeah, I really like Sundial of the Infinite.
It's a blast to play with. I can only hope that your card is going to be nearly as fun.
Yeah, you know how your Sundial was a colorless card that cost about 2 mana, really cheap?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine costs 13. It's close enough, right?
Yeah, sure.
Alright. Makes himself cheaper. So my card is going to be Emrakul, the Promised End. Fun fact, there's someone made a Emrakul, spelled C-U-U-L, or C-U-L, C-O-O-L. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like they photoshopped like a jazz hat and like a cigar in its mouth, and like they took literally everything on the card and replaced it with some, like, boogie down kind of language. And it's just the most ridiculous text I've ever read. And I considered putting it on here and having you read it, but I'm not going to.
We can throw it up in the video.
We could. I just, like, replace it with this Emrakul. Anyway, so Emrakul, the Promised End, is a 13/13 for 13.
Continuing with Innistrad's obsession with triskaidekaphobia.
Yep, 13. I mean, that's the unlucky. So 13/13 for 13. It just makes sense.
Right. I really liked it a lot in original Innistrad, because Morbid was a thing, and some Morbid triggers had, it dealt 13 damage, or -13, -13.
Oh, who was it? Mark Rosewater. Someone sent him a question via Twitter or something, and the question was, like, Ulamog, right? That big, giant, ungodly, indestructible monster, right? It's like, can you explain to me how Tragic Slip can kill him? And his response was, because he's clumsy. It's just, okay.
So tell me what's so cool about Emrakul.
Well, Emrakul is cool because he's Emrakul. Duh. Anyway.
I always pronounced it Emrakul.
Emrakul.
Whatever.
It's kind of like Cthulhu, where it's supposed to be like jumbled together and kind of unpronounceable.
Yeah, unpronounceable not meant to be pronounced by human mouths.
Yeah, so it's like Emrakul. It's supposed to be just shoved together. Like, no, it's not like a word. So even like the card itself misspells it, but it doesn't.
Right.
Still, Emrakul, giant noodly spaghetti monster. Actually, I'm gonna talk about his art real quick before I actually get into what he does. So the art is, in my opinion, strictly better than the original Emrakul art.
Agreed.
Because the original one was very, like, he looked like he was just like a mountain that had tentacles coming out of the bottom.
He looked a little bit like Guard Gomazoa.
He looked very much like Guard Gomazoa. He just looked like a rock, and he was kind of split down the middle. I think, like, a lot of the newer arts for the Eldrazi just look better in general.
Yeah, that's
one,
fair.
because they just have more money to spend on the art, and two, you actually can't see it on this card. Oh, you can a little bit. The card, the regular card for it is a little transparent, but there is a full-on art of what's going on.
Right.
And below the if you remove the card text and see the full art, you can Google it. I may put it up in the video.
Yeah.
You will see the people, like the normal people, fighting the Eldrazi mutation horde.
Right.
Like, in the card text. You could, like, vaguely see it now.
Yeah, you can see it a little bit.
And, like, you actually see it. And one of the things I love about this card is the fact that it actually has scale.
Yeah.
And with all the other Eldrazi, you just see the thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's no foreground. Or if you do see a thing, like, you see the Eldrazi way off in the distance, and you see something in the foreground, but it's, like, so close it's hard to tell the scale of the monster.
Yeah. There was
like,
one
really
or two.
Away.
There's one or two, I think, that showed, like, a person standing, like, defiantly with the Eldrazi monster, like, but it's not a common thing.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't happen for any of the Titans.
Yeah, and, like, this is, like, the only one, like, you see you see him, like, the whole card encompasses the majority of the body of the creature, but you also see its, like, tentacles reaching out and grabbing, like, buildings.
Yeah.
So, like, you can see how big Emrakul is huge. With all the other ones, you just see, like, you see their head.
Yeah.
Like, they could be the size of a normal guy, and it would look the same in the card art. Like, This art is phenomenal. Shout out to Jamie Jones, who did the art for this. Fun fact, Jamie Jones did not do the art for the original Emrakul.
So let's talk about what it does.
Yeah, let's finally get to what it does. So, as I mentioned earlier, he is a 13/13 legendary creature Eldrazi for 13 mana. It's like, okay, what else has he got? Well, first off, probably the first one that is important is Emrakul costs 1 less for each card type amongst cards in your graveyard. Fun fact, I looked it up, there are 8 different card types. Legendary is not a card type.
No.
I didn't know that until just today. Of course, it makes sense. So there are 8 different card types. They are Artifact, Creature, Enchantment, Instant, Land, Planeswalker, Sorcery, and Tribal.
It's weird to me that Tribal is a card type and not Legendary.
Yeah, I know. Like, it kind of makes sense, but it kind of doesn't. Like, I can see why they wouldn't want Legendary to be a card type.
Right.
But I can also
there are only
for the same reasons why they shouldn't have Tribal be a card type.
There are only 7 card types in Standard right now, though.
Yeah. Anyway, away from the Tribal stuff. Little rules clarification here. Card types amongst a single card still count.
Yeah.
So if you have an artifact creature in the graveyard,
or an enchantment creature,
it would count as both an artifact and a creature, or in your case, an enchantment.
Tribal instants are a thing.
Yep.
So those count.
Well, I think all tribal cards are also something. I don't think there's no such thing as just a tribal.
Right, but they do count double.
That is true.
Back to Emrakul.
Yeah, back to Emrakul. You would run. I guess if you're wanting to optimize.
We still haven't talked about any ability but the first one.
Oh yeah, and there's still like 5 more abilities technically.
Yes.
Fine, I'll talk about the other ability. So his second ability. This actually happens when you cast it. His first ability happens before you cast it. His second ability happens when you cast it.
And his third
is once he's on the field. Technically, his third, fourth, and fifth. But when you cast Emrakul, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, that player takes an extra turn. So essentially, is your opponent gets an extra turn, and you control them for the first one.
I would want to be playing Chronotog again.
I don't know how that would work.
They cast it, you skip your next turn. Now, you would have to skip your next turn for the rest of forever in order to prevent them from controlling you.
Would that, though? Something like, I don't
You skip your next... Okay, so they cast Emrakul. You say, I skip my next turn. And Chronotog gets +3/+3.
Yeah, because this says when you cast. So this triggers when you cast Emrakul and resolves.
On their next turn, you skip your next turn.
No, I'm saying if you have Chronotog and your opponent casts Emrakul, once that ability resolves, they control you for your next turn.
Right.
But if that turn is skipped, they don't get you.
But it's your next turn.
Yes,
so
but that turn is skipped.
No, it's not. It's your next turn. The next turn you get to take. So if I skip the turn that comes after the turn you cast Emrakul, well then it goes and then it's your turn, and then the next turn I take would be the turn after that. Then you would get me for that turn.
All right, so we actually looked it up because we argued for a little bit, and there was nothing rules-wise that I could think of that would determine it one way or the other. Because my argument was that, well, Emrakul says when you cast, so it put this ability on the stack. So it's not a delayed, a triggered ability, because it happens when you cast it. It resolves then. So once that is resolved, well, how does that work? So we looked it up, and we simply find a rule. It's rule 712.1b. If a turn is skipped, any pending player controlling effects wait until the player who would be affected actually takes a turn. So it specifically explains what would happen if they would just skip their turn.
Right. You would have to continue skipping your turns forever with Chronotog.
Yep. You'd have to do it twice during the time when they cast them to the fact.
No, you just do it again on their next turn, which is the next turn.
No, because you get an extra turn. So like Emrakul, I skip my next turn. Okay, you get an extra turn
after that turn.
Oh, that is a delayed triggered ability.
Yes. So they cast Emrakul. You say, skip my turn.
Yep.
Their turn happens. You say, skip my turn.
And you have to forever not play your turn. While your opponent has a 13/13. By the way, the remaining 4 abilities is Flying, Trample, and Protection from Instants.
Yeah, no, it's not a good day for you.
It's not going to counter it.
But it doesn't counter it, no, but you do get to prevent
them from taking your turn. So, fun fact, there was a ruling a while back that was if a opponent controls you during your turn, they can look at your sideboard.
I never once found that ruling. I went looking for it, and I never found it.
Well, I was told this specifically by a judge.
Okay.
Because I follow a judge on Twitter. And
no, that's cool. Like, I just was never able to find that.
But that's because they can... It's just in the rules of things that you can control. A player has the ability to just look at their sideboard at any point. It's a choice that they can make.
Right.
And so, therefore, if you control them, you say, okay, you look at your sideboard. You show it to me.
Right.
Because that's a choice you can make.
I also never found what you're about to talk about, which is that was overruled.
Yeah, they are... It's with Eldritch Moon.
Right.
It's when it's a rule change so it's technically not out yet.
Okay, so it's pending.
Yeah, it's going to happen at the release of Eldritch Moon, in which if you take control of someone's turn, you don't get it just overrides
their
it.
sideboard.
Like, yeah, you don't get to look at their sideboard. No, like that's dumb. I don't know why you do that. You could probably just guess what's in their sideboard.
Honestly, it's not even.
I guess you could technically if they have a wish card.
Yeah.
Technically. But I do like how they essentially... It's very similar to the original Emrakul. The original Emrakul had Annihilator, which I hated. I mean, it makes sense for the Eldrazi. They're supposed to be big, so that just eat.
It made sense. it was not fun to have to deal with.
Yeah, it's like, are you serious? Especially Emrakul.
And that's coming from someone who hates playing Magic.
Yeah, and it was even worse with Emrakul because when you cast your first Emrakul, you would just get another turn.
Right.
So you would be able to. It's essentially Emrakul had haste and untapped all your stuff.
Right.
So you would like cast Emrakul, get another turn, swing. It's got like Annihilator 5, sacrifice 5 permanents, and I'm swinging a 15/15 at you.
Yeah,
it's like, it's oh my god,
it's sacrifice. So it gets sacrifice 5 permanents. That is the removal that everything dies to.
Yeah. And I like how they took those 2 abilities and essentially that ability and the fact that Emrakul is supposed to be like mind affecting,
yeah,
delirium, and like, all right, let's use that with that turn thing. Take your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
And you mind control them for a turn.
And then they tried to make it fair by giving that player an extra turn to attempt to undo the damage you did.
And to make them like flavor wise, like, oh well, everyone who is affected by Emrakul like can fight back. Like they're sure they've been damaged by what Emrakul's done, but they can still fight back, get out of this. And also by the fact that like this would be strictly better than the old Emrakul if it didn't, because it would essentially give you an additional turn.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, I swing all of my dudes, so you block with your 13/13, leaving myself open for you to swing your 13/13.
Right.
And then I'm just...
Now, the flying, trample, and protection from instance is what I want to talk about. Flying and trample, that's cool. The protection from instance, well, that's useful. Instant speed removal is a thing that lots of players play.
Mm-hmm.
But in this set, we're seeing a lot of sorcery speed removal being printed. And I like that.
I do like that. There's a lot of also just distance speed.
I like the fact that you can... That Wizards is saying, yes, we are printing something that has this ability. Protection from instance is pretty powerful. We're going to go ahead and say that. It's powerful.
It is.
But we're also giving you a way to deal with it, which I think Wizards needs to do more of. Things would be less broken if Wizards also printed ways to handle those things.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot of that, especially in this set.
Yeah.
A lot of the spell affecting.
That's a good thing. Honestly, Spell Queller exiles this.
Mm-hmm.
Done.
Problem is the cast ability on the stack.
Okay, Wrath the Stack. We have that ability too.
We do have that. But I do like that. I like protection from instance. I like it a little bit better than protection from colored spells.
Sure, because nobody ran the colored spells.
Yeah. And like it would get like...
It's like, okay, I murder it.
O-Ring would get rid of it. Murder's a...
Yeah, murder sorcery speed.
Let's talk about...
Oh no, murder is an instant.
I thought it was an instant, because like it's 3 black. Like if it was sorcery, it would just...
2 black and a colorless.
That's what I meant. It is 3 mana is what I meant.
3 black. No, sir. No. It's not that hard to cast.
What I meant is it was 3 mana, and I just said it's 3 mana and it's black. 3 black mana. If you put the word together. You know what I mean. Anyway.
Protection from instance doesn't have protection from abilities, so you can still get around it with an ability. So your standard...
you can still O-Ring.
Yeah, Oblivion Ring or Banisher Priest or Oh.
Yes.
Royal Assassin. It doesn't have vigilance.
You're right.
They swing at you with a 13/13, tap gone.
Yep, get out of here. You know what you can also do? Mind control.
Yeah.
Control magic, because it's an enchantment.
Yep.
It's just gonna take that. Technically doesn't have haste, and I don't get the cast. Of course, if your opponent casts Emrakul and sees that you have a control magic in hand, they're getting rid of that shit.
Right, yeah, they're gonna cast it on like a 2/2 zombie that they've just got chilling.
I'm just gonna cast it on that, or if you're running control magic, there's a good chance you have counter spells, so you're like, control magic, counter it again, they all resolve, emptying your hand. Mwahaha. That's why I like Emrakul. I'm gonna use you against you.
I want to play blue-green against an Emrakul. They cast Emrakul. I void slime Emrakul's cast ability. They get to keep their 13/13, but they don't get my turn. So, Emrakul, good card. I'm not as excited for it as I am for some of the other stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the other cards. I like the presence. I think the build-up from the Shadows over Innistrad, like leading into Emrakul, was amazing.
Yeah.
I like a lot of the cards. I like the way they're handling it. Emrakul doesn't feel like another Eldritch. It feels like the horror that should be in
Yeah.
It feels like the giant ungodly monster. The thing that is turning everything into horrors.
Yeah.
Like
I like the flavor of it. I think it was very well designed.
Yeah, very, very well done.
But it doesn't necessarily fit what I want to play, and that's cool. There's plenty of other stuff in Innistrad that does.
So, Speaking of which, flavor.
It doesn't let me skip.
I posted this on Facebook, and I got a lot of people mad at me. They're, as I assume everyone knows, they're going to seal Emrakul into the moon.
Yes.
With the card bound into the
sealed
in the
imprisoned
moon?
in the
imprisoned in the moon. Yeah. And in the yard, they're imprisoning Emrakul into the moon. And I posted on Facebook. I'm like, okay. Emrakul was imprisoned in the moon, but he was still there, so his psychic presence was still affecting people and merging people with things like with their horses, like we've seen that rides as one.
Yes,
but like it's less powerful, so it takes a lot more time and it's slow, and eventually everyone fuses with their horses, other four-legged animals, etc., etc., etc. Griffs at the wings, but they're still like quadrupeds, and so everything would merge into like horse-like people. The people of Innistrad would eventually stop referring to the plane as Innistrad because it reminds them of the old times. While the ultimate evil is trapped in the moon. So eventually there's everyone who are now horse people starts referring to the plane as Equestria.
Oh my goodness.
I love how you had no idea where I was going with that. I posted that on Facebook, had like 10 people mad at me.
My only real question is, does Emrakul still have influence?
We don't. I would assume not.
I would assume not either, because Nahiri, who was a freaking, like...
Planeswalker.
The Planeswalker Geomancer.
A pre-mending Planeswalker.
Right, a pre-mending... Well, the mending happened, so her power was nerfed, but...
No, it specifically said in the story that the mending happened while she was trapped in.
It doesn't matter, her power is still dropped.
Yeah, it's dropped now, but... While she was in there, she was still...
Stuck, yes.
Yeah, she was still stuck while she was a pre-mending Planeswalker.
And not to mention the fact that she has an affinity for Earth and Artifact, which the Hell Vault is.
Yeah. Like, that's just
she still couldn't get out.
How nuts the Hell Vault was.
And the Hell Vault was just a small piece of the moon.
Yep.
Anyway, anything else you want to add to this?
Yeah, one final question. I'm curious to see if I want to know if Avacyn would have been able to take him. Story-wise, obviously an 8/8 flying would not be able to take on a 13/13.
Right, but
that 8/8 flyer is 8/8 flyer, who would bring along her posse of angel friends. So you have the 8/8.
I don't think
all the other 5/5s.
I don't think Avacyn would have been able to, because Avacyn was among the first to be corrupted.
Yes, I'm referring without the corruption.
Fair enough.
I'm if Emrakul wasn't doing it, Emrakul just showed up without the mental influence that did it. We're not even sure if it was Emrakul that corrupted it.
I think it's implied that it is.
It is implied, but we don't know if it was it is also implied that Nahiri did something. Like Nahiri was the one who
that doesn't necessarily make sense for a red-white plane.
Yeah, that is true. We really have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, well, everything that Nahiri's done has been related to delirium and madness a little bit.
I think it's because she's been affected by it.
Yeah, she's been affected by it, but she's
she's trying to summon. She is trying to summon Emrakul. That does not. You do not do that without being affected by Emrakul.
Yeah. Well, she's also just mad.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I obviously by themselves, I don't know if Avacyn would Avacyn was powerful.
Yeah.
Avacyn was OP.
Avacyn was imprisoning demons left and right.
Yeah, but Avacyn would have killed Sorin if Sorin just didn't have I technically created you.
Right.
That's the only reason why Sorin was able to take out Avacyn, was because I literally just have a button that kills you. If I would have died by someone else, you would be technically unstoppable. Avacyn would have just ended Sorin.
Right.
And it just said Avacyn is essentially God.
She was created by a pre-mending planeswalker, and her power wasn't tied to the spark, so she didn't get nerfed.
Yeah, she was just a super powerful being, and I really want to know, could Avacyn actually take?
I don't know.
I also another thing I was curious about is they said in one of the stories that there's Sigarda, Bruna, and Gazelia, Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. There was those three colors, and there was Avacyn, who was double white.
Right.
And one was green, red, and blue.
Yes.
That means, was there a black one?
Yes.
Yes,
we talked about this in the last episode.
Yes, but I'm bringing up a different thing. This is another headcanon, but it's nowhere near as stupid as the first one. In my headcanon for the fourth sister, they just said that, Avacyn dealt with and killed her. But we don't really know much about the death. She just, Sigarda just said, yeah, she killed her.
Right.
In my head, I like to hope and dream that sister's still alive. I want to know who that sister, why she was in. So in my head, I've concocted this story that the fourth sister was working with a demon or something, because they did say that she was working with demons and something, and that's why Avacyn said no, she's got to go and kill her.
Right.
It's she was working with a demon to get a spark to get a planeswalker. So she got the spark. So she got a spark, and like when Nevison attacked her and like fought her and killed her spark ignited, and she planeswalked somewhere else.
Right.
To Ravnica, where she helped start the Obsidian because the Obsidian have black-white angels.
You know, it's an interesting headcanon. It is kind of a stretch.
It is a stretch. I know it's a stretch. Fun fact, me and my roommate yelled at me for this. Apparently, angels are constructs. They're not like born and they're not like normal people. They are constructs that are bodies that are made and like a Holy Spirit possesses them. So Addison could come back. However, because of that, they can't naturally have a spark.
Right.
Even with the case of like Karn. Like Karn is he didn't naturally have it. Like,
no, he was given a spark.
Yeah, well, twice.
Yeah.
Because Karn is so special. And like we even like looked up like Mark Ruffalo has even said, people have asked like, is there a chance that we could have an angel planeswalker? And it's like, well, technically it is very unlikely. It's not possible for a angel to just be born with a spark because angels are born.
Right.
But it is theoretically possible, though very unlikely, that an angel could obtain a spark, i.e. angels.
Right.
Maybe my plan or my little headcanon may happen, and this is going to be one of those things that, like, I know it's unlikely, but if it does, God be damned if I'm not going to rub it in everyone's face, because I told y'all. But other than that, I don't have anything else to Emrakul. I think he's really good. I didn't specifically talk about any decks, because he's very open.
Yeah.
He's colorless, so you can run him in any color.
Plays incredibly well with green just because you can ramp into it.
Yeah, you can ramp into at least 13 mana, or at most 13 mana.
At most. Your ramping helps drop the price.
Yeah, like if you're running something like Harrow or any type of land that you tap and sack, that's a land in the graveyard. If it's Harrow, you have both the land in the graveyard and a sorcery in the graveyard.
And there are Rampant Growth, it's an instant.
Rampant Growth, it's an instant. Like, that's 10 mana. And you've went and gone like 5 land.
Yeah.
Like green could go it. I don't think red would work unless you're running some kind of madness delirium kind of thing.
It'd probably be red-black.
Yeah, you'd have to probably run different
Red deals a lot and really only three kinds of card types, and by the time you get to 10 mana, the game should be over.
Yeah, unless you're running a red-black control, which you can do. It's like a creature control.
It's still supposed to be way faster than 10 turns.
Yeah.
Blue could do it. Blue would be able to do it.
Yeah, blue would be like you have it. It would be a blue finisher. Just like, all right, we're playing. I've stalled you enough. Like, I have instant and a couple of creatures in my graveyard. It's like 10 mana, Emrakul. Do you have that thing that exiles abilities on the stack? No, then I control your next turn. This is a blue deck you're facing. You know this, right?
Yeah.
Like, I control your deck. I control your deck for a turn. You essentially lose, especially considering now I have a 13/13 tramp protection from instant.
Right. So yeah, Emrakul is incredibly flexible.
Yeah, you can run him in a lot of decks, and he's a 13/13 protection from instants. So he's still wiggle room. I really like. He is really good. He works on a lot of decks, but he doesn't end.
I mean,
he will end games in a way that like
he is the promised end.
Yeah, that is true. But you still have a chance as opposed to other Emrakuls. Like I play him, I get an extra turn. I swing with Annihilator 5. Sacrifice 5 things. It's like, you know how hard it is to recover from Annihilator 5? That's nuts.
Right.
But this one covers up a lot. Like, yeah, your opponent has to do stuff, but your opponent work for it. Like, oh, there's no valid targets for this spell, which can't cast it, but there will be on my turn, or et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, that's all I got for Emrakul. You have anything to add?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Great. So, thank you for listening to Pick a Card, Any Card. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or card suggestions, you can email us at
pacac.cast@gmail.com.
or you can leave them in the comments below.